Hey everybody, this is Devin, and it's like a later in the afternoon thing. It's actually evening-ish, and I welcome you. This is Writing Daily, where every single day we talk about things that matter to writers. We talk about how to write better, write more often, do things that will help you get noticed because it is complicated out there. So anyway, today we're going to talk about this event that is held every year in Los Angeles called the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books. So this is going to be, if you're in Los Angeles, this is going to be very directly, specifically geared to you. But I think, book fairs across the country are alive and well. And so we're going to get to that in a minute, but as always, please, if you like what we're doing, take a moment to like this page or share it or click on one of the many social media buttons that are associated here. And always, always, always make sure that you ask a question if you want to get this thing going in your own writer's life. For the record, my name is Devin Galaudet. I'm the editor-in-chief of In the Know Traveler, as well as the author of the forthcoming 10,000 Miles with My Dead Father's Ashes. So anyway, there's kind of a lot to cover. I didn't have like a real specific kind of thing to do, but I want to tell you what my experience was. So for me, there was two things going on. One, my publisher was there, and so they just wanted me to kind of go out. There wasn't really a major game plan other than go out and be me, whatever that means. In other words, go to panels, and because they have things like that where there's writers who get together, and go introduce myself to writers and book publishers and bookstores, and just kind of develop conversations and continue and just making my profile out there. That's always a little bit weird for me because really at my core, I'm just sort of a book nut. I love books and I love stories and I love writing. So for me, this is like a fantastic thing. I went both days. Yesterday, I interviewed one of my friends, Barry Gabay, and he's a good guy. He's written like 14 books, and he had a booth at this event, and we did a live thing, and I think it just didn't work. Like, I had my phone, we tried it out, and I think somewhere in the translation, even though it looked like it said I was clicking the right buttons and everything was doing what it should, I don't know if the video ever showed up. So I'm probably going to try and look for it on my phone and get that up there. If not, I'm going to thank Barry for understanding that we're going to do this again. So yesterday I had a great time speaking with a lot of really wonderful people, and part of it was I had these cards that came out. I don't know if you can see that. If you are not watching me live, then you just imagine a business card with my book cover on it. And this just kind of gives the information on it, who it's distributed by, as well as, about Publishers Group West, which is going to be helping to distribute my book, which is fun. And but more specifically, I did a couple things that I think you might like to know about. So for starters, I took my galley with me, one of my galleys, sort of as just in case. And I brought it with me, not because I was going to be actively looking to be giving it away or to or to be showing anybody it. But what ended up happening is that because I had it in the backpack with me, which was filled primarily with food, I ended up speaking at the Antioch booth. Antioch is my program that I went to. I went to Antioch. I think I graduated in 2009. And so I got a free gift. I'm showing it if you're on video. This is the lunch ticket special that is sort of celebrating the 20 years of the MFA program. And it's filled with a lot of people that I went to school with. So it's a lot of fun. I'm not in there, so I'm outraged. I'm actually not at all. I'm just sort of teasing. But it was really wonderful to see so many wonderful writers' names in print that I know personally. So I also picked up some books, something by Toni Morrison, by Amy Bender, which her book, I guess, is becoming a movie, as well as her sister And in the Not Quite Dark Stories by Dana Johnson, who is a dear friend of a dear friend of mine. I've had the good fortune of meeting Dana Johnson a couple of times, and she's terrific, really wonderful. And so it's a great opportunity to see writers on writing and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And so what I ended up doing was I just went to booth to booth to booth and started conversations. I know that's kind of a little bit awkward for a lot of us, but I think as writers, that's something that we need to work on. And listen, you can always default back to, let's just talk about writing. Let's talk about, who's writing what and how are they doing it? What books do you love? That's always the easiest question, and it's something I did a number of times. And I also got to meet a number of writers who I had never met in person before, as well as write down a handful of people that are eventually going to be on the show. And I think I'm probably going to be focusing on that come tomorrow. I just haven't had a chance to do it because all of a sudden things have been ramping up on my end. So all of a sudden I find that I think I discussed it the other day, just feeling overwhelmed with what's happening. Like, I have to start really marketing myself, and I kind of despise that. Because it's kind of the opposite of what makes sense to me. More often than not, what I end up doing is like I feel comfortable with the writing in the dark room by myself on the computer to write my story. But then coming out of the darkness and putting myself out there is kind of a weird thing. So, matter of fact, doing this podcast is sort of bizarre. So anyway, I don't know if I made it clear, but one of the things that I did do was I brought my galley with me. And I ended up doing and this was the important thing, I'm kind of putting this in some weird order, but what I ended up doing was, because I had my galley with me, I ended up going to this Antioch booth where I was just talking about Lunch Ticket, and one of the people there, Ken, was like, hey, listen, we've got a whole day here. We have some writers that are going to be speaking. Why don't you just read something? So I ended up doing, tagging on to another writer's, she was going to be last for the day, and they just tacked me on. And so I got to do a little bit of reading, and it was kind of fun, and it was very impromptu, but I was able to do that because I kind of came prepared to network and market myself a little bit. Again, not something that I enjoy doing, but having the ability that having my galley with me, so I was prepared to do it if that's what came around, or even to give it away to somebody who might be useful down the road, as well as having the cards that I brought. So I guess you could say that I worked it. It was a little bit weird and awkward. My wife took pictures and a video of me standing there, actually pretty good pictures. So I guess really what this is that you go to places like the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books. And by the way, if you haven't been, if you're not from Los Angeles, this is an enormous event that is held in USC, and I've been going to it pretty much every year for years before writing, because I'm just, again, at my core, I'm a total book nerd. I love books. I love the way they feel, and I love to touch them, and I can't help myself, and it's fantastic. So, I guess what I'm saying is if you don't live in Los Angeles, that's fine, because there's always other types of book fair things that are available in most communities, in most larger communities. I mean, obviously in smaller communities, they don't have really elaborate ones with tons of writers, but this one, especially if you're in Los Angeles, is a must. It happens every April, usually I think it's the third or fourth weekend of the month. It's a 2-day event, and it's sprawling. It's all across the University of Southern California campus, and as a fact, it actually took me 2 days to meet with a former editor, friend of mine, Marcia Lennox. So anyway, really wonderful. And so I guess what I'm saying is, if you are writing, you have something coming out, or you just want to tap into your local literary scene, make sure, go do a search of book fairs in your area and see what you can come up with. And I think it's absolutely worth your time, because books, I can tell you this much, books are not going out of style. People love books, and it's something worth doing. So that's what I got today. I did my literary reading. I met some friends. I met some literary people. I got to talk books, and all of that stuff is fantastic. And so I urge you to continue doing it. And as always, if you like what we're doing, make sure that you leave a comment, give us a thumbs up. Let me know that I'm on the right track when we're talking about books. And I've got some more people coming up this week to interview, and we're going to talk more about how to write better, more often, and get it all done so you can get your novel out there. Anyway, that's what I got for today, and thanks for joining me with Writing Daily.